and Shannon Sharp should have been far more clear in what he was saying. And I think that Dr. Umar and Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy do not have the benefit of the rest of the context that I have to say, Shannon Sharp, yeah, it was effed up what you said, but he didn't mean it the way we took it. So now, based on the context that they had, which was just the first tweet, let's see what Charlamagne the God and Dr. Umar Johnson say about Shannon Sharp.
On national television said he didn't even want to go to a HBCU. He wanted to go to a PWI. And every time celebrities try to do something good, black people want to beat them up. I beg your pardon, Shannon Sharp. I know that you don't date black women. You have no loyalty to black women. Now you want to tell the world you have no loyalty to the HBCU. If you didn't want to go to Savannah State, you keep that to yourself, you Negropean. You don't tell the whole world that you didn't want to go to a HBCU and then try to chide the black community for asking Deion Sanders to have a little commitment.
With all that said, Dr. Umar, what do we do for HBCUs moving forward? Because Deion gone, but HBCUs going to still be here.
I just told you. Black celebrities have to come together, stop buying chains, stop going to clubs and strip joints, stop with all the expensive clothing, stop cooning, and use some of this disposable income that we spend it on Christmas gifts right now and come up with a funding source.
I agree with him in a way. First and foremost, what they do with their money, I want it to be their choice. I do not want to shame any celebrity in being more about the people. I want them to show us who they are, so we are not taken by surprise when they don't show up for us in other ways. And I would like to know, just on a regular standpoint, that if this black celebrity is not about the culture, ain't for the people, I want to know that. And you can't force them, and we can't shame them into doing stuff for the black community, because then we don't know. We start to just see these donations given, and you're like, oh, that's a great guy. Necessarily, it's not necessarily a great guy. It's a person who's being forced to give. I'm going to go ahead on. And I think we're going to finish up by listening to what Umar says, and we just got a little bit more to go.
They be the catalyst of a black celebrity and grassroots, because we should be paying too, movement to finance this. I'm simply saying Deion could have been the face of that and was beginning to be, and he allowed himself to get bought out by a white university.
But he left the blueprint.
That's it. I don't want to hear about no blueprint.
He left the blueprint.
That's like Harriet Tubman saying, I'm not going to help you on the Underground Railroad. I'm going to lead a blueprint. Marcus Garvey, I'm not going to help you with the independence movement. I'm going to lead a blueprint. That's cowardliness, man.
I'm not putting that out on Deion, because there's enough of us that can keep these programs sustained if we do what we're supposed to do.
Okay, but we can't do that with people running away like Deion Sanders. That was a cowardly move. He was wrong.
And that is where I'm going to end with Dr. Umar Johnson, because again, Dr. Umar Johnson's mind was made up when they said Deion Sanders. The first mention of his name, Dr. Umar's mind was already made up. Even if you presented the best arguments ever, which shockingly, Charlamagne the God did present some very good arguments, and Dr. Umar Johnson wasn't having it. So this was just him being closed-minded. And later on, when he goes home, wherever home is, I think he lives in Philly, wherever home is, when he goes home and think about, man, yeah, that was right when they said this or that. Or maybe I went back and watched the 2020 interview, and yeah, Coach Prime did say this and that. Maybe he will realize that he was a little hard on Deion Sanders. And now coming into my complete thoughts on Deion Sanders and his exodus from the Jackson State University program. At first, I was like, you know what? That man had to do what he had to do. He would have been leaving X amount of money on the table, and I had it all figured out and written down, but I don't have that paper in front of me. He would have been leaving X amount of money on the table. He has a family himself to take care of. He has contributed quite a bit to this HBCU and he has left that institution in some ways better than the way he found it. This article was the one that kind of gave me pause about Deion Sanders and his leaving Jackson State University. Okay. Let's say Deion Sanders is already making an impression as the new face of Colorado Buffaloes football. On Sunday, Sanders was in Boulder to be introduced as the new head coach at Colorado, having spent the past 3 years leading Jackson State. Over the past 2 seasons, Sanders led the Tigers to a 23-2 record, including an undefeated campaign in 2022. In his first action as the head coach of Colorado, Sanders was blunt in his desire to take the team in a new direction. Sanders introduced his son, Shedeur, as the team's new starting quarterback. Shedeur has started at Jackson State for the past 2 seasons. So now we got a hole at head coach. We also have a hole at QB, and that is that's someplace you don't want to be as a football team. Deion Sanders introduced his son Shadur in his opening statement. That's your quarterback. He's going to have to earn it, though. The safety made me mad, so I didn't bring him. The safety being his other son, Shiloh. He didn't bring Shiloh, but he was. That was the plan. Saying he just got a little mad at his son. He wasn't going to bring him. Anywho, speaking with current players on the Colorado roster, Sanders made it clear that he was ready to bring several more players over from his Jackson State squad. You're leaving that, you're decimating the team. But anywho, saying that drastic change was coming to the program, he went as far as to invite those players that weren't ready for the new Coach Prime era to take their talents to the transfer portal. We got a few positions already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me, Sanders said. And it's Louis, meaning Louis Vuitton, meaning he's got some prime athletes coming with him from Jackson State. And look, there are those people going to be like, well, shit, ain't that what you want? If they left the HBCU and they're moving on to a better university? No, because now you're leaving the HBCU back at Schitt's Creek, back where they started. In fact, worse than where they started. Coach Prime continued, it ain't going to be no more of the mess that these wonderful fans, the student body, and some of your parents have put up with for probably 2 decades now. I'm coming. And when I get here, there's going to be change. So I want y'all to get ready to go ahead and jump in the portal or do whatever you're going to get, because if more of you jump in, the more room you make. So you telling these kids, you know, y'all effed around for some seasons, and now you're going to find out. These kids, obviously, he feels like the kids underperformed, but it could have been just the coaches underperformed. Anywho, in addition to Sanders' son, the other high-profile recruits are expected. Recruits are expected to follow him to Colorado, including cornerback Travis Hunter, who had been a highly coveted 5-star recruit. 3 players expected to join Jackson State next season announced plans to decommit from the school in light of Sanders' move. It's in shambles, and that is where now I feel like, okay, I know Deion Sanders had to do what he had to do. But damn, you got to take everything with you too? You're not building a new program. You're not taking a program from zero and trying to make it a hero. You took a program that you had already done that at, and then you took that back to zero, and you're taking all of that back, or all of that to your new place in Colorado. I just don't feel like that's fair. Okay, so Sanders' desire for change is not surprising given the recent struggles of Colorado, who went 1-11 in 2022 and have had just 2 winning seasons since joining the Pac-12 in 2011, one of them being a COVID-shortened campaign in 2020. Just once over the past decade have the Buffaloes finished with more than 3 conference wins. That said, it's a pretty bold statement to introduce yourself to your new team by inviting any and all listening to walk out the door. If Sanders brings in a brand new roster of players, inserts his son at quarterback, and immediately brings Colorado football back to relevance, no one will question the plan in hindsight. However, if things don't go according to plan, it could be an uphill battle for Coach Prime. I think Coach Prime has an effect on kids that will make it to where they will walk through walls for him. Now, Sanders still has work to finish with Jackson State before taking over in Colorado full-time, with the Tigers set to play North Carolina Central on December 17th. After that, he and the Buffaloes will have 9 months to prepare before starting their 2023 season with a big test against TCU the first weekend of September. So, you want to know what I think of Coach Prime leaving Jackson State? Do what you got to do. But do you have to fuck the program that you put into some kind of order? Do you have to fuck that program up to leave? You really didn't. It's really not, it really isn't necessary for him to take all of these athletes and to decimate that team like that. And that is the part that I don't agree with. And I'm interested in hearing what you all think about Coach Prime and how he's leaving Jackson State University. And do you have a problem that he's leaving Jackson State University? Put your comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. By the way, there are a million ways that you can support the show. One, by clicking on that join button right underneath this video. If you have it in your heart to support the show, go ahead and hit that. There are some perks involved with joining. Also, If you made it this far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There will be more. And if there's any topics or anything that you'd like to see me cover moving forward, put those in the comments as well. This has been a great time covering this crazy, crazy subject. And I will see you guys in the next piece.